Hi there and welcome. My name is Shri and we're building Pong. We're actually on part 5, I think. And what I want to do next is include some UI. So we've already got a bit of, we have scorekeeping working. Let me just check paddle. So we've got score here and we also update it. Just trying to remember where we updated. I think it's in check edge collisions. Or is it in game? So we need to know where it is to be able to update it. Here we go. So we check it here. Right, if the x is greater than the screen width or ball position is less than 0. Actually, I just realized that in theory, this edge detection is a little bit wonky. It waits until the center of the ball passes the screen edge. But actually, in this particular case, maybe that's a good thing. It might feel better if it goes a little bit further along. I wonder if that means that you could kind of hit it with the paddle when it's like part way over. I feel like I might just leave that in. We'll see how it goes. So what we don't do is display the score. So let's fix that. And to be able to do that, I want to use a UI framework. We'll use DVUI, which is Zig native. I've used it a little bit before. I wouldn't say I'm super familiar with it, but I kind of know my way around. UI is not my favorite, so I might just be a little bit slower getting through it. But let's see. Zig fetch. Oh, they don't give me any instructions. That's fine. Let's see. Git switch minus c pong slash part 5 and zig fetch. So that's the last time I got DVUI. I can just do that again, and I also need to add some or make some updates to the build flow or build.zig. Right, we've already got a library getting pulled in here. Let me just see if there is any instructions here. Implementation details, online docs. I can't remember if it did. Nope. Features, usage. Oh, actually, we can just check within the demo project what it has in the build.zig. That'll help a bit. Here we go. STL examples. Okay, this one is Raylib. That's how I think I did it last time, because we're doing Raylib on top. Actually, you know what? I have a version of this in another game, so I'll just copy that. Build.zig triangle. No, let me put it in the other order. Triangle slash build. Oh yeah, it's not going to find it. That's fine. What I can do is, it's just because my triangle directory is a symlink, so it doesn't find all the files in there. But here we go. So Raylib, DVUI Raylib. This is the one that I want. Let's put this down here. Oh, we don't have DV. Oh, we need the dependency as well. There we go. And then Toml, which we don't need yet. I should add that to my to-do list, that we want to be able to make it a bit easier to be able to change some configuration like the key bindings. But that's fine. Let's just DVUI. Is that all? Alright, I don't need known folders. exe check, exe unit test. Oh, that's all I need to do. Exe dot root module. Let's build that and see if that works. Each time we add a library, it slows down a bit more, and I cannot wait for 0.15 where the build is a lot quicker. Well, I could probably already use it, except that DVUI doesn't support it. Let's just have a quick look. Oh. I actually wanted to check. Oops. Oops. Okay, so that's a problem. I can get it. I wonder what? That's a new bug. I didn't have that before. Interesting. So there is a particular point at which it I will find it and fix it later. I'm not getting distracted again from doing the UI stuff. And you can see here I've got the scores printing out, and as usual I've forgotten to put in a new line. Is it STD? Yeah, here we go. Let me just put in a new line there so that it's a little bit tidier. I just realized that I should, there we go, that's a bit better. Let me commit these first. GID build. GIA build dot star GID GC build add DVUI dependency, and then let's just fix that as well. Fix add new lines when printing score. Right, so next part is actually displaying the score. And where do we want to do that? This is a bit where I feel like we should probably refactor out a game object where we do all of these things instead of doing all of this in main. So let's do that. Const std equals set import. Oops. Std. We'll need Raylib here, I think. RL equals at import. And we'll definitely need DVUI. Const game equals this. Do we need some variables? We do. We are going to have paddle left, paddle. Actually, maybe we could just call it left and right. No, we'll call it paddle left and paddle right. Oops, we need paddle. Const paddle equals at import paddle paddle, and we also need the ball. Should have added the ball when I was here. Ball equals at import ball. Right. So I think part of what I'm just thinking about is whether we need an init method for this or we just initialize it. Do we need anything else in here? Let's pubfn update, which will take a DT of F32, and it won't return anything. And we also have pubfn render, which should take the self. Would it be a const? It should be, right? Because we shouldn't be updating anything in render. So that would be const game. I mean, that might end up being not entirely true. We'll see. Star game. Okay. Check edge collisions. We can tweak this now. Now that screen height is correct. Oops, what was in here before? Screen height, yes. But let's move it over. We'll clear the background and we'll all of that. Okay, and we've got the renders at the end. So let me just mark that, and then there we go. Self dot, oops. It's going to be a bit annoying having to add self dot everywhere, but it's a bit like this dots in JavaScript. I could have called it this, to be fair, but nah, I more prefer the self. Right, okay, and then, all right, this one also needs a screen height. Let's just make that a parameter, comma, screen height f32. So what I've done before, hold on, let me just fix these as well. Wait, or maybe I just need to save it. Oh, it needs screen width as well. So what I've done before, actually, yeah, that's what I should do, is I've passed in a context, or I've initialized a context within the game object, which then tracks things like the canvas, which tracks things like the screen height and the screen width. And when you see some of my triangle videos later, when I get to some of these things, you'll see how it works there. For our use case, we don't really need to track a canvas. We don't really have anything that complex. So we can just put it in here, and we can put screen width here as well. And we can take this off. So this one becomes self dot, and this one becomes self dot. Because we can just track that here. It's technically not a part of the game. We could encapsulate that within another object like a canvas, but we don't need it yet. So I'm just taking a sip of my cup of coffee. Right, so that takes care of that. Mr. Self dot here. And then what we need is, oops, D3D. We want this. That's it. And then what we also need, let me just add the extra bits in here. Game.render, game.render and game.update. I think it only takes DT, right? Yeah. And we will have game var game game equals, and then we can pop just all of these things in there. We don't need to do that. I'm just trying to remember what the syntax here is. Is it equals, or is it a think it's been a while since I did this. Oh no, wait, I need to do dot and equals. There we go, that's looking better. Dot and equals. Come on. Oh, I need a comma at the end. Comma. I'm expecting it to auto format. Okay, that's better. So all we need now, or what we need next, is the game object itself. Const game equals at import game. Right, did that do it? Do we have any bugs? Do we have any errors? Let's zig build run. Okay. No fieldnet really. What I also want to do is prominent compile errors. Run. That's what I want. So it shows up at the bottom. Main.zig. Oh, all right. I call it. Should be. Let's rename these. It's interesting that this one didn't complain about that. But okay. Missing struct field screen height. Okay, good. Okay, so dot screen height equals screen height. Dot screen width equals screen width. I do wonder if I could actually move all of this logic into the game. I should move all of this logic into the game because that's game logic where the paddle is created and all of that is game logic. Okay, let me let me just check if this works first. Okay, let me just check that these work. Okay, good. So let me save this. WD gc minus a refactor extract out game struct, and the next part that I want to do is just tidy up the init, or pop fn add an init method for this fn init. And for this one, we'll only take screen width f32, comma screen height f32, and it'll return a game object. And what we'll do is we'll actually take this one. Bar game dot actually let me do it this way. Game equals dot init screen width comma screen height. Okay, that's a bit neater, and what we can do is we don't need to do this return, and we don't need that. That's it. Neat. Let's try that build. Nice. Refactor, improve encapsulation of game init logic. Great. So now let's get on to displaying the actual scoring, which would go into render actually. So what do we do here? And I wonder, should it be a part of the left paddle render? No. Let's separate it out. And in triangle, I created a separate class for this. Let's maybe just start with something basic. I'm just trying to remember DVUI.box. Var box equals DVUI.box at src, comma, direction dot. It doesn't matter the direction whether it's horizontal or vertical because we're only going to have one element in it. Dot what we want is location, position. No, let me just have a look through. There is a particular one in here. Dot rect maybe. Oops. Equals dot x. Let's put this at self dot screen width times 0.3 comma y equals it doesn't matter, y is always probably going to be a fixed height from the top, so let's put it at 200. And let's just see how this pans out. Defer box dot d init. I thought it had d init. Does it not? Let me just fix that y. I forget to put the dot in front of it. Wow, it's really warm today. Okay, that takes care of that. Now what we want is a label, dvui.label at src, and what we want is a format, which let's just put in a, how do we do it? Yeah, D, and let's just do, I forgot double quotes there, left paddle, self.leftPaddle.score. Let's say that we don't need any options. Will that work? What are the chances? Let me just have a sip of water while that builds and fails. Oh, right. I forgot. There is a bunch of things I actually need to do first before DVUI will render. Let's just go into, oh yeah, that won't do it. I'm just remembering that I can't go back to triangle that way. So let me go to triangle the long way. And what I want is main.zig. And let's check out the DVUI line. So we need to add this bit. Wi-Fi Y, and that goes, where did I put that in? Just anywhere outside of main. We need to import const DVUI equals at import DVUI, and then what do we need? We need to initialize the DVUI window. I'm just checking. So there is an init window there, that's fine. But there's actually more here. So let's take all of this. After the init window, after all of that, before initting the game, let's initialize DVUI. And we need an allocator. What do I use as an allocator here? Just a standard GPA. I think this... Let me just check. I think I heard something about Zig general purpose allocator default. I think this one has been changed, or maybe I am remembering it wrong. How old is that? Yeah, since the default initialization, oh, that's just the default initialization method that has been deprecated. And maybe it's changed since then as well. Let me just see what's the last post. Okay, that's fine. So maybe that one is okay. Although I don't use it correctly there. So let me just copy, derive the type from the expression. Officially still use the default initialization pattern. Oh, right. Okay. So I think this is part of the RHL mechanics. Let's just actually y7y. So this would become, let's actually, and then general purpose allocator equals dot init. Right, that'll do. And for just describing what this one does, it gets the general purpose allocator. It gets the allocator from there. This is a form of Zig interface, which lets you pick up the actual allocator from the struct. And what I'm doing here is at the end of this function, well, technically at the end of this block, which is this function, we call this one, which de-inits it, and it checks if there was a leak, and it'll just panic with an error with the memory leak stuff. This will only happen at the end, so this is when you're exiting. So this panic is kind of pointless because the app is about to exit anyway, but it's just there as a way to find out if I've forgotten to free some memory somewhere. We aren't allocating any memory manually so far, so I don't know. Well, let's see if we need it at some point later. So we've got that getting passed in, and then we're initting the window, and we also need to do this part within the game loop. And where do I do that? I do that after the drawing. And I use it. I don't need this because we are not putting a camera in. I also don't need this frame start. Oh, no, wait, maybe we do. Where is start getting used? Okay, we need this stuff. Where did I put that? Yeah. But I'm curious about where start gets used. It seems to think that marks the beginning of a frame. All right, so it doesn't need it. So that's only used in there to figure out the frame time, which is used for showing debug information, which we don't need here. Right. Let's see if that helps. Expected type found fn. Oh, so maybe. All right. This is what we need, right? Okay. Oops. Dot. Is that what it is? I haven't tried this different style before. Okay, that's positive in that it worked, but it's not displaying anything. Which is, so I have, but I am, okay, I've had this problem before, but that was because it was happening at the wrong time. I was rendering the text and then printing and then rendering the screen, which meant that it was getting overwritten, which is not happening here. I'm definitely rendering this afterwards, but maybe what I need is, and this might be a problem. I'm not setting a width and a height. Comma.h equals 300, which means that they might be getting defaulting to 0, which I think I've seen before as well. Let's just see if that helps. No. Let's see if DVUI horizontal rect screen width times 0.3. Let's just maybe hardcode this just in case there is some math issue there. There shouldn't be, but worth a check. I can also do a dot border. Is it border? Comma dot border equals DVUI dot rect dot all, and let's just give it 2.0. That'll give it a border width all the way around of 2 pixels. And let's see if we can get it to at least show the shape, the box that we're drawing. Okay. Right. But it's still interesting that it's not printing the label. Good thing that it's showing the border. So let's now do screen self.screen width times 0.3. And we probably don't need 250 is probably enough. 300 by 300 is fine. Let's see if the scoreboard positioning is correct. And then we can check. Well, that's really far too large, and 0.3 is not enough, or it's too much, I should say. And let's set this to maybe 50 and 50. I also want to check DVUI label. Actually, okay, that's a bit better. We'll move it a little bit more. What I guess we really need is we want to take half the screen, and we want it to be halfway through half the screen. So it'll be 25% minus half the width of this. We'll work out the maths later. For now, let's just find out why. Online docs. And let's just take an example of a label. And what I normally do is I find one of these that's close enough to what I want. And that's an examples. And let's just see. I mean, I guess we could use a button, but that would look a bit strange maybe. Layout text might be good. Actually, let's just search for label in here. Caption heading. So that just goes inside the box. It's got margin, padding, gravity, background. Ooh, could it be color? Could it be printing it in black? So let's do, oops, .co color text equals .white. Oops. Because that could be an easy fix. There we go. Perfect. And now let's see. That should now be showing the score. And okay, that's too small, but that's okay. We can make that bigger. Comment dot font, not font. Is there a dot font style? No, let's find the documentation for it. Label And what I want is options rect. I think that's the font itself. That's not quite what we're looking for. Interesting that font style. Okay. Oh, maybe I could just pick a font style. Dot font style equals dot title. I have changed the font size and everything manually before. I just can't remember how I did it. I might have to use a text widget. Is that enough? Might be enough. All right, let's do a couple of things. Let's make this 25%, and let's remove the border. Oops. And let's see if that looks better. I would like the text to be a little bit bigger, but I think that to make it bigger, I might have to use a text widget, which is a little bit more annoying. I need a bigger A, but we'll sort that later. Let's repeat this. I'm just wondering, yeah, let's just repeat it for now. Let's just call this, what was this? Left. And let's call this right. And let's move this to 75%. That should put it squarely on the other side. And then we'll use the right paddle dot score. Right. Let's see if that does it. Isn't it funny how I'm always so optimistic about how much more we can do, and then we can't. Oh, right. So what I need to do, the reason that doesn't work is because this right box is rendered inside the left box. Although we still don't see this, but I think that's just because the positioning of it is odd. So the way it works in DVUI is you enclose items as children of other items, or widgets as children of other widgets, and you do it by scoping. So the left label, this label is now scoped inside that left one, and when it comes out of the scope, we are out of that left box as well, and then we go into the right one. Let's see if this improves it, because what would have happened, I'm still a bit curious why that one didn't show up at all. Let's see if this changes anything. I'm also not displaying the border anymore, so it's a little bit more difficult to spot. There we go. That's looking better. Let me just move this up so that, oops. We can see the score changing on the other side. Right, great. So the score is changing on this. We've now got the score displayed. So I'm realizing that, it's nearly 40 minutes in, and maybe that's all we'll manage in this episode. But let's just see. So, let's split this up into 2 commits. Let's GIA src /main.zig gc integrate DVUI into main loop, and then we can add the other one, gc -a. GIA, because that's not been added yet. gc feet show scores. Right. Now, maybe what we could do is we could refactor this a little bit, and we could just call fn show score self star const game, comma, the main thing or the only thing that really changes is the x position. So we'll just call it xpos f32. We don't need to return anything, and we can pick this up d4d. And oh, actually the other thing that we'll need is the score, which should be u8 probably. What do we have? Oh, right, we need to go into paddle to check it. Yep, u8. So what we can do now is, let me just do show score self.screen width times 0.75. Oops. All right. Self.show score screen self.screen width times 0.75 and score is, which one was this? Right, self.right paddle dot score, and we don't need this scoping anymore. Oops. So let's set it correctly here. X is xpos. The rest of it is fine, and they're all fixed. Doesn't matter what the window size is. And then in here, we just use score. It's saying it doesn't need self. Okay, so let's not use self then. So we can just do it this way. Oops. It's better if I type the command out instead of just going to the previous one. Right, so it's definitely showing the right score. Let me move this up just to check that it shows it. Yeah, shows it. Great. And then let's refactor this as well. Show score self.screen width times 0.5. Now let's do 0.50 so that it lines up. Self.left paddle dot score. And let me just get rid of that. Let's just check, or let's just test that it still works. And I'll just move. Wait a minute. Oh, because they both have the same ID now. You may need to pass extra loop index. Right. That is interesting. So one of the things that DVUI has is that boxes and some other widgets have an ID. And because this is the same bit of code that is generating that ID in there, the ID ends up being the same. So it doesn't like that. It wants each item to have a different ID. And if I remember correctly, the ID is comma dot ID extra equals 1, 2, 3. Let me just check what it is. It's a U size. So I'm just wondering the best way of doing this. When we could just cheat it. So we could just create a U size, ID, because the X position is going to be different for both of those. So let's just use that as the ID at int from float xpos. Let's just use ID. Oh wait, I also need const. I've been doing Go recently, so get a bit confused. So this should hopefully remove those red. Curiously, they have, first one has a different, oh yeah, I did 0.5, that's why. Oh, I don't need to add a 0, it's just 0.25. There we go. GWD, GC minus A, refactor, improve code reuse, and readability. I think that's it. We've got the score displayed already. I was hoping to do more, but everything takes longer than you think. And before I finish it off, there is one other thing that I want to do, and I want to see if this works as a pattern. So if we check now, we've got this little branch with the changes that we did in the current one. Let's push that up, and I want to create a PR for it. Put some sand. Let's try that again. Oh no, right. It's that one I want. Feet, add, what did we add here? Show scores of both paddles. Here we go. Okay, well, that's fine. That's been deleted. So that's just the build file. I'm just self-reviewing my own changes. So this is the game class. We separated that out. Yeah, all of this looks good. And we're doing the render here. And we've got the show scores. Yeah, that's fine. I was just wondering why we weren't showing scores. That's in there. I wonder if this should go into the paddle, actually. We'll go back in for that one. Const game, that's fine. We're just refactoring that. We are adding this in. Okay, I want to add some comments into there. So let me just see if a little refactor. Well, I was going to add a bit of description, but then I realized it's really in here. Add the DVUI, add new lines, extract out the game struct. So there is a bit of a story of the changes that we've made in there. Let me just create a pull request. And what I want to do is I want to make a couple of notes here. So this is fine. We reviewed that one. There wasn't really any thoughts for me there. That's fine. Here, I had a thought. Maybe this should be a part of paddle. Let's pop that in there. That's viewed. And there was another one I was thinking about that I was a little bit less sure about. Which one was that? Oh yeah, this one. Is this the correct way to initialize the GPA? Also, is the GPA the appropriate one here? Okay, so I'll just add that comment as well. And what I'll do is just go in here, and I want to I've got a topic in here where I'm asking for feedback. Let me reply to this specific one, because Milo Greg has been reviewing my code and given me lots of feedback, which you would have seen me fixing which you could see me fixing in the previous episode. 133 minus 38, less than 200 lines. That's not so bad. Sorted. So I will wait a little while, see if I can get any feedback soon enough, and if I do, I will integrate that into this branch before I merge it in, and I will include that at the end of this video. I've now got some feedback from Milo Greg on the Ziggit.dev forum, and all of it super helpful. I don't want to go through, I'll go through it just now, but I won't make all the changes in this video because it's already quite a long video. So let's start with the allocator. So as I suspected, the general purpose allocator has been deprecated, and the new one that we're supposed to use in its place is the debug allocator, which makes it clear that it's not really meant to be used in production and that we should pick another one if we want to use, production ready one. So that's fine. We're initializing the allocator correctly. The proper way to dinit, we don't need to have the extra print messages that we've got here. So dinit status, we pick up the dinit status and then we panic. Actually, I suspect it already panics at this dinit if it finds a memory leak. So we don't need that. Actually, let's just do it now. Debug allocator. And then all we need here is that. So the show score logic could be part of the paddle, but it might be cleaner, summarizing this paragraph, to move the scores into the game struct or extract out a player struct. Now, I've been thinking about it a bit, and one other way that we could solve it is to have a HUD struct, and then we just have a HUD.showScore, and we just pass in the paddle that we want. We would need a switch statement there unless in each of the paddles we have a play area and we split up the play area into two depending upon whether it's a left or a right. And on the HUD we pick the middle of the play area. That's one way to kind of encapsulate away some of the left-right complexity. Something I'll mull over a little bit more, and we can try it out and see how it works. So Milo Greg also talks about how we can make the font a little bit bigger. They point out that setting the font sizes in DVUI is a little unintuitive, and I agree. But here's a bit of code we can try out next time. A ball may still be colliding with the paddle. We saw this bug when it just kind of gets stuck, and it just kind of, kind of just bounces like really fast. And one way of solving it, and here's the code, is to move the ball out of the paddle. It basically happens because the ball is inside the paddle, and because we set the x direction, if we just multiply it by -1, it just flips back and forth. One way is just move the ball out, and then it'll just keep going. It won't keep colliding. One other way I thought about doing this is to just determine which paddle it is, and then just set the fixed x value for the velocity, so that if it's the left paddle, the x will be positive, so the ball will go to the right, and if it's the right paddle, the x will be negative, so the ball will go to the left, and it will move itself out of the paddle as it goes along. We can explore all of these ones in the next one and tidy it up. For now, I just want to make these two quick changes, and then let's just give it a quick whirl. And that works. Did I save it? Let's just try again. And I just want to check if we've got add new lines, improve encapsulation, integrate DVUI, show scores, and improve code use. Okay, we don't actually have a separate commit for the. Actually, let's just check because one thing we can do is we can do a fixup of the Git commit. So blame. So that could be 5ff. So 5ff is here. So let me just show git show 5ff49c8. Okay, we could just fix it up there. Let me just see GIA minus U. That just adds that particular patch or all the patches on existing files into staging. And let's do git fixup. What was it? 5ff. There we go. So we've rewritten that one. And if I gblame, it's now 9A D9. Show 9A D9 475. Okay, that's still ambiguous. Oh no, 47D5. So that's just redone that commit so that it now, where is it? It just has our final bit of code. Bit of rewriting history. And let's push this up. And normally I would have some build running when you push up a PR. I haven't set that up yet. Maybe that'll be for another video. For now, let's just go in there and pull requests. And I would merge this in. But what I want to do is let's resolve this one and resolve this one, and this would be the right time to merge it in, except I want to pop in the blog post and a couple of other details about the YouTube video in here before I merge it, so I'll do that offline. In the next one, we'll update the rest of this, and then we'll carry on with the UI stuff probably. There are a couple of other things we can do, like sound, keyboard controls, being able to change that, but we'll probably just carry on with this and see how we get on. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next one.